Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Skye, and in today's video I'm going to be doing the Eyeshadow Palette Tag Part 2. This tag was originally created by Ali Glines and Samantha March, which I will link their videos down below. They made a Part 2 to this tag that they created, and naturally I love talking about palettes, and I wanted to do it as well. There are 11 questions in this tag, so let's get started. I love talking about palettes so much, and I know that y'all love palettes as much as I do. So anyways, let's get started. Question number 1, what is your all-time favorite palette? Now, it's Sugar Pill Fun Size. I have to pick this little cutie. This is so well loved in my collection. And there's so many dips. I am genuinely shocked I haven't hit pan in this. I have hit pan in Sugar Pill Shadows before, but I feel like these 9 pans are a different formula to their, like, pro pans. The color selection is absolutely perfect. It's just pastel rainbow dreams. Anytime I need colorful, like, mattes, this is the first palette that I want to reach into. It also has some really unique tones, like this shade of green. Just twitch. Just twitch. Do I need to say more? 8-bit is absolutely fantastic as well. I have so much love for this palette. You hear me scream about it basically every single video. So yeah, this would have to be my all-time favorite. Question number 2, your new favorite palette. So I decided to pick something that, granted, I've only used a couple of times, but I can already see myself calling this a favorite, and it's the Lunar Beauty Strawberry Dream palette. It is so stunning. I love the packaging of this. My beautiful friend Katie got this for me for my birthday this year, and I absolutely love Lunar Beauty's formula, and I love pinks. Like, this is such a me palette. The mattes in here blend absolutely beautifully. The shimmers in here, stunning, especially this shade Blue Diamond and Ruby Skies. Oh, they are gorgeous. Like I said, I only used this a couple of times and I haven't actually used the blues in here. I've just really mainly dabbled in the top 2 rows, but I love Lunar Beauty's formula. It is immaculate. It is so lovely. And I've been lusting after this palette for so many years, and now that I finally have it, it makes me so happy. It is definitely a new favorite in my collection. Basically, in this video, you're gonna hear me say how much I love each palette. It's gonna be very repetitive. I apologize. The next question is a palette that you keep for the memories, and this one was very difficult because I did want to choose my Nabla Soul Blooming palette because I scream about it all the time about how much I love that palette. I've taken it traveling with me so many different times. Like, that palette has seen so many different places. And while it does hold some very good memories, I wanted to pick something a bit different and something that will probably always hold a special place in my heart. And it might be an unexpected answer, but it has to be the Kaleidos Escape Pod palette. This is what the palette looks like. I believe they have changed the packaging since I got mine. And I actually got this palette in PR. This was the first ever, like, eyeshadow palette that I got in PR, and I remember, like, being so infatuated with it and so excited. Like, it holds a really special place in my heart, and I would just remember, like, playing with this palette so much and just creating all these different looks with it, doing all the swatches, and just feeling really accomplished when I got this palette, because I was like, damn, I never thought that I would be here, like, getting products in PR, especially from brands that I really enjoy, so, it holds a special place in my heart. Even if I didn't use this palette anymore, like, if this palette, like, didn't inspire me or anything, which I don't know when that will happen because I love this so much, even if that day comes, I don't think I could ever get rid of this because I would just probably put it on display, to be honest, because I have so many fond memories with this, and it's just a little relic in my collection. Also helps that the formula is absolutely fantastic, so that's what I would keep for the memories. Alright, the next question is underrated palette. Now, this was difficult for me to choose because I feel like a lot of the palettes in my collection, none of them are really, like, underrated or underhyped. Like, a lot of them are quite popular palettes in my personal experience, but I always have to give it to this beauty. This is so incredibly underrated, and it makes me sad. It makes me sad. The September Rose Brew palette. September Rose's formula is absolutely incredible. I love their matte formula. It blends effortlessly like a dream. and the color story is so lovely and toasty. This is one of my favorite neutral palettes in my collection, and even then it's not super neutral, it's just a really warm toned palette. Their shimmers as well are absolutely incredible. It makes me sad that the only 2 shimmers in here are 2 golds because they're so foiled and metallic. Like, if I had like this color in a metallic or even like this color, perfection. I know they recently released a new palette which is like kind of more pinky tones, and while I do want to try more of September Rose's like products, I have so many pinky tones in my collection, but I really think that this palette gets overlooked a lot because it's just a warm neutral palette, and everyone has some, but this is really something special. I love the theming of it, the coffee, like tea theme. I have a lot of dips in this palette, as you can see as well, especially pumpkin spice. Like, oh, that is a stunning shade. Question number 5 is not a favorite, but you can't get rid of. It kind of hurts my heart to say this, and I have mentioned this before, but the Black Moon Urban Myth palette. I am so in love with the color story of this palette, the theme, everything about it. The formula just isn't my favorite. It's nothing really that special. There's a bunch of different formulas in here. We got some duochromes, some like foiled sparkly shades, which I really like. These 2 mattes are not that great. The other mattes, they're pretty decent, they're nice. It's just nothing special. And even though the formula isn't my favorite, and honestly, I don't use this palette that often, to be fair, the theming and the color story make me so damn happy. Like, this is themed after like urban legends and myths and that sort of thing. And that was such like a massive interest for me, like even still to this day, but especially when I was a kid. I had such a fascination with creepypastas and urban legends and all of that sort of thing. And horror movies ever since I was a child, and I still do to this day, but I remember being a kid and like just being so fascinated with it. I'd write my own horror stories, write my own like little like legends and all of that sort of thing. I'd research from a bunch of different cultures, their legends, because I just thought it was so fascinating. I love it. I absolutely was so infatuated with it. And this just appeals to it so damn much. Like, there's a shade called Bloody Mary. I remember being absolutely petrified by the Bloody Mary, like, story. Like, even to this day, if someone, like, I mean, I'm 21 years of age, none of my friends are telling me, let's play Bloody Mary in the bathroom. But if they did, I would say absolutely not. No, I'm not risking it for a chocolate biscuit. It just appeals to my childlike wonder of the paranormal and the spooky, and that just makes me really happy. And I still do love that kind of stuff to this day, to be honest. So I don't know if I'll ever be able to get rid of it. Plus, like, it's just so cute, and look at the mirror. UFO boy! Anyways, the next question is favorite collab, and I think I only have one, like, collab palette in my collection, and it has to be the Kaleidos Club Nebula palette that they did in collaboration with Angelica Nyqvist. This is one of my favorite palettes in my collection. It is stunning. I'm surprised you can't really see any dips. Like, do I even have any dips in this? Because I use this a lot. A bit in Gravity, actually, that shade. The color story of this palette is fantastic. I've mentioned this a lot in my recent videos, so I won't harp on it for too long. The color story is perfect, the formula is amazing. I think this is actually the best formula Kaleidos has ever done. Like, their eyeshadow formula is fantastic, but I feel like the one in here is slightly better, because the dark mattes are just immaculate. The colors in here, Firefly is one of my favorite shades ever. Same with Nebula. What a beautiful peachy pink gold duochrome. Incredible. Everything all together just makes me really happy, and this is just one of the best collab palettes that has ever come out, in my personal opinion. The next question is a 2021 favorite, and I am aware that I am posting and filming this video in March. 2021 was long far away at this point. But a palette that was a favorite in 2021 for me was the Beauty Bay Wilderness palette. A lot of the palettes I'm mentioning are actually like favorites of last year, but this one really shocked me. I had tried Beauty Bay's formula in the past, and it was a harrowing experience. I tried the Beauty Bay Pastels palette, and I will still stand to this day, that is the worst eyeshadow palette I've ever used in my entire time applying makeup. Including, like, the drugstore stuff that I tried in the beginning, like, when I was first dabbling in eyeshadow. That stuff was actually pretty decent. The Plastels palette, get fucked. Get absolutno ne, absolutno katastrofna. This 20 pan format from Beauty Bay, everyone says that this is their best formula, and god damn it, it's so good! The formula of the shimmer shadows in here is kind of like Colourpop Super Shocks, like that squidgy putty formula. And like, I've got a huge dip in Breeze. Like, look at that dip right there. And in Ray. These are so easy to use. The mattes in here are beautiful, they blend beautifully, and this palette is the cheapest palette in my collection. Like, I paid the least amount of money for this, and it's incredible. Like, Beauty Bay's formula has no right being this good. Like, they could charge double for this formula, in all honesty. Please don't, first of all, please don't. I am mad, though, that all of their 20 pan palettes are limited edition, because it's literally their coolest color stories, their best formula, and all of that, and they make those palettes limited edition. Like, come on. You make the best ones limited. Why? Literally, why? The next question is a palette that I didn't expect to love. Again, I talk about this palette constantly. The palette I didn't expect that I would love this much is the Geology Pilbara palette. This palette was sent to me in PR, and when I first saw it and when the brand first reached out to me, I was like, okay, this is a really cute palette. Like, I like the warm tones, I like the olives in here. It's pretty cool. Like, for a neutral palette, I was like, okay, it's nice. I think I'll like it. You know, didn't really think too much of it, in all honesty. Do I really need to say anything at this point? I would do anything for this palette. This is my favorite, like, neutral palette in my collection, and it is definitely in the top 3 of my favorite palettes of all time in my collection. The matte formula is absolutely beautiful, so easy to work with. This shimmer, Starry Skye, is one of my favorite iridescents, and you can actually see that I've hit pan in it. Like, I love it so much, and I love it as face highlight. I use this so much, even when I'm not, like, posting looks to Instagram. It's usually this palette that I reach for when I don't know what I want to do. And this palette really made me fall in love, like, head over heels in love with neutrals again. I went through a phase where I just didn't like neutrals at all. I thought I looked, you know, I didn't like the way that I looked in them. But this palette, a few other palettes as well, but this palette has like really thrown my love for neutrals, like really just yeeted it in there. I didn't think that I would love this palette as much as I do, but it is beautiful. It is so wonderful. I'm such a big fan of it. The next question is a palette that sparks joy. Now, you'd think that all of the palettes that I'm mentioning are palettes that spark joy, and you would be correct. You'd be correct, because I have an immense love for my eyeshadow palette collection. But the one that sparks the most joy, the one that speaks to me the most, the Glaminatrix You Beauty palette. This one was also sent to me in PR, and dude, like, how could I not pick this one? This palette is inspired by Australia, and I say this every single time that I mention this palette. As someone who is Australian, this appeals to me, and all the names being Australian slang. Like, I read this and I'm like, oh my gosh, I say these things. It just takes me back to my childhood, like, seeing these phrases, and the colour story is really beautiful, really unique, and really does speak to Australia, in my personal opinion, and we've got beautiful multi-chromes in here again. This shade right here, Flaming Galah, one of my favourite iridescents in my collection. So good, G'day. What a unique multi-chrome, it is stunning. I love Glaminatrix's matte formula. Like, I need to get, like, some of their matte singles, because it's just so good. Anytime I use this palette, I feel really happy. And anytime, a lot of the time, I just open my eyeshadow palette drawer and just look at this, and just be like, oh, home. And also the fact that the back of it has, like, Australian animals and wildlife, like, is just so cute. And I mean, like, I recently got, like, a tattoo of a kookaburra right here. Like, I'm a proud Aussie. I love it. I love it so much. Now, the penultimate question is the newest palette in my collection. And the newest one is this one right here, the Colourpop of Quartz palette. Colourpop recently added me to their PR list, which, what the fuck? I did do a video trying out this palette and a few other bits from them, and I don't know if that video will be going up before or after this one, but yeah, this is the newest palette in my collection. It is a lovely cool tone dream. I did pick this one out, actually, because I don't really have many cool tones in my collection. I think you saw with all the palettes that I have shown, like, I don't really have many cool tones, especially cool toned neutrals, so I wanted something that'll add something different to my collection. And I've only used this, like, 3 times, and I will say matte formula, very nice. Very, like, I think better than the normal, like, matte formula that Colourpop used to do. Granted, last time I tried Colourpop's matte formula was like 3 or 4 years ago, so they probably have changed it since. I really like the tones in here. I think it is really, really lovely. The shades Mind Games and I always say this wrong. Magnetic? I always say this incorrectly in my head and out loud. Those two shimmers are beautiful, really, really lovely. Especially Mind Games is really good as a face highlight. I have used it a few times for that. I will say the other two shimmers, I mean, they're right. Nothing super special, but the tones are cool. And we do have a sparkly matte, which Angie don't like. But it is a lovely little 9-pan and really unique to my collection, really adds something and fills a gap. And yeah, I've been enjoying playing with this. I hope that I'll upload that Colourpop video soon. I don't know when, but yeah. That's the newest palette in my collection. A really unexpected one, actually. And the final question in this tag is the first palette you used in 2022. Now, I actually had to look back on my Instagram for this one because I think I remember the first look that I did was this one right here, and I actually used 2 palettes for this look. The first palette that I used was the Sugar Pill Fun Size palette, the shade Twitch, to use to like blend out the edges. And I would hold that palette up, but it is at the bottom of my palette pile on my desk and it's looking a bit precarious and I'm scared to touch it. But the other palette I used in that look was the Sugar Pill Fun Size 2, of course. Of course I used the Fun Size 2 as well. And I used the shade Button Mash right here to do like the deepening up of like the forest green liner, and this palette, again, I absolutely love. I love all these palettes. I am being really annoying right now. Ooh, Georgie! I see my cat just walking on the fence. Hey buddy, where's my thick little boy? Oh, he's pissed off. Go off, King. I really like the color story of this one. It is such a good complementary palette to the first one as well. I really love the color story of Fun Size 2. I think it's really unique as well. And it is kind of like a grungy, like, it's a good mix of like a grungy rainbow with like unique tones in it, because you got the peaches, you got the pale like pastel yellow, the grungy light green and all that, and the bright pinks. It is a fantastic little palette. I really need to do a 3 looks video with this one. I have a lot of 3 looks videos that I need to do. I need to catch up. But this one especially, I want to do some really fun like matte looks with this. It is a lovely little boy. And yeah, this was the first palette that I used this year. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Do let me know, what is a palette in your collection that sparks the most joy? Let's ask a question from this tag, but I want to know that answer specifically. I love hearing like, what's like that palette that is just gives you those feels. If you'd like to see more makeup content from me, then you can follow me on my Instagram. It's Beauty by Skye right here. I post all my looks there and I'm active on there every single day. If you'd like to support me further, I do have my own small business, Rain Cloud Candles Co. We are a small queer-owned business based in the UK and we make handmade candles. The link to shop will be down below along with our social media if you'd like to support us. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to have you here. And as always, stay safe, wash your hands, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!